One very powerful referral source for psychologists as well as other therapists is relationships with physicians, with specialty practices, with pediatricians, if we're doing private pay with concierge doctors. We can really form strong partnerships with other practitioners. However, a lot of strategies that people use are not very effective. And I've recently been asked, how do I do this in my practice? How do I form really strong relationships with pediatricians or other doctors or specialists that I want to form strong partnerships with? So that's what this episode of Worth It Practice is all about. I think where people often go wrong when they think about creating these referral partnerships is that they think not about building a relationship, but about just informing referral sources that they exist. So I often hear practice owners talking about, oh, I just sent a bunch of brochures their way. I just sent a bunch of my business cards. I went over and I dropped off some treats. And that's how I was able to form this relationship. But nobody's actually reaching back out to me. Well, that's because you didn't actually form a relationship with the real people who are there. And if you can get to know people, let them see how you practice and understand how they practice so that you know that you actually want to send your clients their way. That's what good referral relationships are really all about. So the first thing to think about when you want to reach out to doctors is which doctors should you reach out to? Because there's so many different kinds of clinics. So in a private pay setting, it's important that I reach out to doctors where their clients are interested in paying private pay rates. So if I go to a clinic that's really rural and everyone there takes Medicaid, and I try to get referrals for Thriving Child Center or PCIT experts, even if I have a great relationship with those providers, those referrals are just not going to come through. It is the wrong audience. So one factor I'm considering is the clientele who goes to these providers the clientele that also wants to be seen by me? So I think about that. I'm looking at concierge doctors often, or doctors who practice in communities that can also afford my rates. So that's an important consideration. Another thing is, do I have a niche that works with a specific skill set or a specific niche of doctors? For example, if I was doing a lot of work in perimenopause, I would want to be closely connected with lots of OB-GYNs or with psychiatrists who also provide medication for perimenopause, right? I'm going to want to go into a subspecialty if I can, because those doctors are thrilled that you're there. That's why at Thriving Child Center, we often network with pediatricians. Pediatricians need excellent referral sources for the kids that they're seeing, especially for behavioral problems and for testing and assessment, because people come to pediatricians all the time with parenting concerns, with questions. Does my child have autism? Does my child have ADHD? What could be going on? And they want a trusted referral source to send to them. So that is a match made in heaven. So really start asking yourself, what providers are working in an area where we could naturally share a clientele? And is there anything special and specific that I do that those providers will want to know about? And then you target those providers, but you also think ahead about how you're going to explain your services to those providers. And as a psychologist, you probably have a very specific niche or several. You know the kind of angles that you want to use when you go into this kind of networking meeting. So the first part is picking which are the doctor's offices you really want to go to, because you only have so much time and you only have so much money to spend on the next part, on strategy 2. So the strategy 2 is that you want to go in person and ideally meet everyone in the office. Why do you want to go in person? Because if you possibly can do that, that's how you're able to make closer relationships. How are you going to get in there? You're going to get in there by voicing genuine interest in the practice and bringing them food. So this is what we do. I will have my office manager or my admin call the pediatrician offices or whatever doctor's offices we pre-select as saying, hey, this would be a good fit. Maybe they've already referred clients to us before, or we are sharing clients with them. That's often a nice relationship and tells us, oh yeah, we can go back and talk to them. Or maybe we've just heard really good things about them, because here's something that's just true for me. I only want to be connected to clinicians that I respect. So I want to have heard good things about someone so that I'm happy to go and meet and network with them. So my admin will call and they'll talk to the front desk and they'll say, Dr. Kliansky has heard really amazing things about your clinic. Or we've had multiple clients sent to you, that have said great things about your clinic, or you've referred over some clients. And Dr. Kliansky would love to come and meet with you and learn about your practice. Because that's the goal. My goal is to go over and make a relationship and learn about them. Nobody wants to hear, I would like to come over and tell you all about my practice. No, I want to go over and learn all about your practice because I've heard that you're great and I want to have an excellent referral source. Because if I'm working with families and I work well with pediatricians, then I can often send families to specific pediatricians that I know are going to be really helpful or receptive or affirming or whatever it is that I think that family needs. So you're going to pre-select who you think would be the right people to network with. Then you're going to call over and say that you would like to meet with them. And most doctors' offices have some sort of a lunch or learn opportunity that they have with other providers. Maybe drug reps come in, or maybe other people come in on different days. You want to find a time where they're like, oh yeah, every Thursday of the month is the day that we have our lunch and learns. Or every Thursday of the month is where we have outside people come in to learn about our practice. Say, fantastic, I would love to bring you lunch. And then what we do is we ask for any food restrictions. We ask how many people are in that clinic. And then I personally like to order from Panera. So then we order a range of sandwiches and salads from Panera. Usually ends up costing me between $200 and $300 for this order. But I'm also making sure if people are vegetarians, there are options for them. If people are gluten-free, there are options for them. Like, I'm sensitive and I'm including everyone, every nurse, every admin, every physician, because it's not just about having good relationships with the physicians. It's about having good general relationships with the clinic as a whole. So you're picking who you think you should network with. Where is it going to get you the most bang for your buck? Then you or your admin is calling over and finding a time where you can go and meet with them and bring them lunch. Then you order the lunch, very considerate. You show up on time. And it's great to show up with some brochures and business cards. And your goal there is to make connections. Now, there's always a mystery to these because I never know what will happen when I go into a doctor's office. Like, sometimes I'm just in a room and people are coming in, grabbing a sandwich and leaving. And maybe someone talks to me for like 2 minutes. Maybe someone will talk to me for 2 hours. I was once in one of these things and the pediatricians were just so curious. We just spent like literally hours just hanging out and talking. Maybe it will be everyone in the office. Maybe it will be only the doctors. One time I brought all of this lunch over and they said, thank you. And then no one talked to me and I just left. And I just thought, well, they have my brochures. They got the food. I hope we all just feel positively about each other now. But you don't really know. You have to go in there with at least an hour. I usually give myself 2 hours for the entire thing. And with the materials that you want them to be able to have so that they remember you, and with an attitude of like, I am here to learn about you, and with some preparation of these are the specific services I am going to mention to you while I'm here. So that is the other last part of this strategy, is you want to go in knowing what your elevator pitch is. What are the services or the treatments that you offer that they are going to want to know about? And when they say, so what do? You want to get right to the point about those services. For example, I'm going to get right to the point talking about challenging behaviors in PCIT. And I'm also going to mention that we do assessments. Like, sure, I'll kind of talk in general about other things we do, but I want every person I network with to understand parent-child interaction therapy, to feel excited about it and understand why we are uniquely excellent at providing it at PCIT Experts. And all of those things together are really effective. Now, I do one last thing that I don't know that everyone does, but I have business cards that I have made up specifically for these referral relationships that have my personal cell phone on them. And I hand them out and I say, these are not for clients, these are for you. If you have any questions, any concerns, if you're wondering, is this kid a good fit for Thriving Child Center or PCIT Experts, please feel free to text me, because I do want them to text me. Now, if you're worried you're going to be overwhelmed with a barrage of text messages and unwelcome phone calls, it's never happened to me. Most of the time, no one ever texts me. But there's this gesture that's part of that where I'm being collegial, I'm being vulnerable, I'm being very open and accessible, and people can feel that. Because when I'm in these relationships, I'm genuine. Like, I really am thinking about referring to them. I really am, in my mind, selecting the right providers. I want to know who does great with newborns and who really loves a difficult teenager and who is going to call me back. So even though there's a strategy, I am also very genuine in my approach, and I'm genuine when I hand out the business card. And every now and then I will get a text like, hey, I have a 5-year-old who's throwing constant tantrums. Is that good for PCIT? And I'm like, absolutely. Or I have a child who's witnessed this really terrible event. Do you do trauma work at Thriving Child Center? Absolutely. Here's my information. So it's that accessibility. It's those relationships that you're trying to build. So it's going to take you some time. It's going to cost you some money, but it can really, really yield some fantastic relationships and sometimes some really good results. And even if you don't see then a whole bunch of like immediate referrals come out of that clinic, what you have done is made a positive relationship in the community. So you don't know when a client comes in and they say, oh, I've been here trying to get my child to a therapist. Have you ever heard of Thriving Child Center? And the pediatrician says, oh, I just met with Dr. Kleonsky. She's great. And they seem like they are so good at what they do. And then that client books a referral, books an appointment with you, books the matching call. You might never know it was related to that conversation, right? They may say, oh yeah, I was referred by a friend, but it was confirmed by their pediatrician maybe. So even if I don't get tons of referrals from a specific lunch that I did, I always think about the fact that I formed more community, I made more friends, and doing good things out in the world, I believe, comes back to help you in the end. So I hope this is a helpful strategy. I just feel like people struggle with it a lot. I get asked about it a lot. If you have questions about it, please let me know. I talk about this a lot in my consulting as well. So I hope you're having a fantastic week. I hope you connect with some doctors' offices soon and you form some real meaningful friendships with them. And I will talk to you next time.